Imagine this. Over 1400 years ago, a single man in the deserts of Arabia received a message that would change the world forever. Today, over 1.9 billion people follow that message. How did this happen? How did Islam grow from a small group of followers to one of the most influential civilizations in history? History is full of fascinating stories, but the rise and spread of Islam is truly one of the most remarkable. It's not just about battles or leaders, it's about the transformative power of faith, culture, and ideas that crossed continents and changed societies forever. In this video, we're diving deep into the incredible journey of Islam, from its humble beginnings in Mecca to its expansion across the world. Whether you're a history enthusiast, curious about world religions, or just someone who loves uncovering stories that shaped humanity, this video is for you. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand the history of Islam, but also its lasting impact on the modern world. Let's get started. Origins of Islam. Today, we're exploring the origins of one of the world's most influential religions, Islam. To understand Islam's rise, we need to go back to the deserts of 7th century Arabia, a time and place that shaped its beginnings. Number 1, the world of pre-Islamic Arabia society was tribal, with loyalty to clans being more important than unity as a nation. Tribal leaders, or sheikhs, ruled based on traditions passed down over generations. Most people practiced polytheism, worshipping idols housed in the Kaaba, a sacred site in Mecca. However, some individuals, known as Hanifs, rejected idol worship and followed monotheistic beliefs, inspired by Judaism and Christianity. Number 2, the life of Muhammad, 570 c. 632 c. Muhammad was born in Mecca in 570 CE into the Quraysh tribe. His father, Abdullah, died before his birth, and his mother, Amina, passed away when he was 6, leaving him an orphan. Raised by his grandfather and later by his uncle, Abu Talib, Muhammad earned a reputation for honesty and trustworthiness, gaining the nickname Al-Amin, the trustworthy. As a young man, he worked as a merchant, traveling widely and observing diverse cultures and religious practices. At the age of 25, Muhammad married Khadija, a wealthy widow 15 years his senior. Their marriage provided him with financial stability and emotional support. Seeking solitude, Muhammad often meditated in a cave called Hira, near Mecca. Reference: Ibn Ishaq's Surat Rasul Allah, number 3, the first revelation, 610 c. At the age of 40, during one of his retreats to Cave Hira, Muhammad experienced a life-changing event. The angel Gabriel, appeared to him and instructed him to recite. This marked the beginning of the Quranic revelations. The first verses revealed are from Surah Al-Alaq 96, 1-5. Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clinging substance. Read, and your Lord is the most generous. Muhammad, initially overwhelmed, confided in Khadija. She reassured him and sought advice from her cousin Waraka ibn Nawfal, a Christian scholar who confirmed Muhammad's role as a prophet. Reference: Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 3, number 4. The early years of Islam. For the first 3 years, Muhammad preached Islam privately to close friends and family. Among the first converts were his wife Khadija, his cousin Ali, his friend Abu Bakr, and his servant Zayd. The message of Islam emphasized monotheism, equality, and accountability before God, concepts that challenged the existing power structures in Mecca. Muhammad began preaching openly, inviting people to worship Allah alone. The Quraysh leaders, who controlled Mecca's trade and religious practices, saw this as a threat to their authority and the economy tied to idol worship at the Kaaba. Reference: Montgomery Watt, Muhammad at Mecca, number 5. Opposition and persecution. Muhammad and his followers faced increasing hostility, including verbal abuse, economic boycotts, and physical violence. Notable incidents include the torture of Bilal ibn Rabah, a former slave who remained steadfast in his faith, repeatedly declaring, one God, to escape persecution. Some Muslims migrated to Abyssinia, modern-day Ethiopia, where the Christian king Negus granted them protection. Reference: Ibn Hisham, The Life of Muhammad, number 6, the Hira migration to Medina, 622 CE. After 13 years of preaching in Mecca with limited success, Muhammad was invited to Yathrib, later renamed Medina, to mediate disputes among its tribes. This migration, known as the Hira, marked the beginning of the Islamic calendar. In Medina, Muhammad established a community based on mutual support, justice, and equality. The Constitution of Medina united Muslims, Jews, and pagan tribes under a single political framework, emphasizing coexistence and collective security. Reference: Fred M. Donner, Muhammad and the Believers, Key Events in the Rise of Islam. The early rise of Islam is marked by pivotal events that not only defined the faith, but also solidified its foundation as a global religion. These key moments highlight the determination, strategy, and vision of Prophet Muhammad and his companions. Let's explore the events that shaped the rise of Islam. Number 1. The conquest of Mecca, 630 CE. After years of conflict and persecution, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, 628 CE, created a temporary truce between the Muslims of Medina and the Quraysh of Mecca. However, this treaty was broken by the Quraysh when they attacked a tribe allied with the Muslims. In 630 CE, Prophet Muhammad led an army of 10,000 Muslims to Mecca. The Quraysh, realizing they were outnumbered, surrendered without significant bloodshed. Upon entering Mecca, Muhammad declared amnesty for its inhabitants, demonstrating mercy and leadership. The idols in the Kaaba were destroyed, symbolizing the end of polytheistic practices in Mecca. Mecca became the spiritual center of Islam. Reference: Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 429, number 2. The Farewell Sermon, 632 CE. During his final pilgrimage to Mecca, Prophet Muhammad delivered his farewell sermon on Mount Arafat to over 100,000 followers. Key messages from the sermon included the sanctity of life, property, and honor, the equality of all humans, regardless of race or status, the emphasis on fulfilling religious obligations and treating women with kindness, the affirmation that the Quran and Sunnah would guide Muslims after his death. The farewell sermon encapsulated the core teachings of Islam and established a moral and ethical framework for the Muslim community. Reference: Sahih Muslim, Hadith 1218, number 3. The death of Prophet Muhammad, 632 CE. Prophet Muhammad passed away on June 8, 632 CE, in Medina, at the age of 63. His death left the Muslim community in shock and raised questions about leadership and continuity. Abu Bakr, the Prophet's close companion, addressed the community saying, "Whoever worshipped Muhammad, know that Muhammad is dead. But whoever worships Allah, know that Allah is ever living and never dies." This marked the end of direct revelation and the beginning of the era of caliphs, who would lead the Muslim community based on Muhammad's teachings. Reference: Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 1281, number 4. The Battle of Badr, 624 CE. The Battle of Badr was the first major confrontation between the Muslims of Medina and the Quraysh of Mecca. Outnumbered 313 Muslims faced a well-equipped army of over 1,000 Quraysh warriors. Despite their smaller numbers, the Muslims achieved a decisive victory due to their strategic positioning and unwavering faith. Key figures in the Quraysh leadership were killed, weakening their hold over Mecca. The victory boosted Muslim morale and established their reputation as a formidable force. It strengthened the belief that divine support was with the Muslim community. Reference: Quran, Surah Al-Anfal, 817 Number 5 The Treaty of Hudaybiyah, 628 C. In 628 C, Prophet Muhammad and his followers attempted to perform Umrah pilgrimage in Mecca. However, the Quraysh prevented them, leading to negotiations. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah was signed, granting Muslims the right to perform pilgrimage the following year and ensuring a 10-year truce. Although the terms seemed to favor the Quraysh, it provided a period of peace that allowed Islam to spread further. The treaty highlighted the diplomatic skills of Prophet Muhammad. It led to an increase in conversions to Islam as people witnessed the Prophet's peaceful approach and growing influence. Reference: Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith 2731, Number 6 The migration to Medina, Hira, 622 CE. Facing relentless persecution in Mecca, Prophet Muhammad and his followers sought refuge in Medina. The migration, or Hira, marked the establishment of a new Muslim community. The Constitution of Medina was drafted, ensuring coexistence among Muslims, Jews, and other tribes. The Hira is so pivotal that it marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. It signified the transition of Islam from a persecuted faith to a socio-political force. Reference: Fred M. Donner, Muhammad and the Believers, Number 7 The Ridda Wars, 632-633 C. After Prophet Muhammad's death, some Arabian tribes refused to pay zakat, charity, and claimed independence from the new Muslim leadership. Under the leadership of the first caliph, Abu Bakr, these rebellions, known as the Ridda Wars, were suppressed. Unity among the Muslim community was restored. The Ridda Wars preserved the political and religious unity of the Islamic State. They paved the way for future expansions under the Rashidun Caliphate. Reference: Al-Tabari, History of the Prophets and Kings, The Spread of Islam, 7th-8th century. The spread of Islam from the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th and 8th centuries was nothing short of remarkable. Within just a century of Prophet Muhammad's passing, Islam had reached regions as far as Spain in the west and Central Asia in the east. But how did this happen so swiftly? Let's dive into the key factors, events, and regions that played a role in the rapid expansion of Islam. Number 1 Expansion under the Rashidun Caliphs, 632-661 C. Following Prophet Muhammad's death, the first 4 caliphs, known as the Rashidun Caliphs, led the Muslim community. Their leadership saw the expansion of Islam into the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. The decisive Battle of Yarmouk crippled the Byzantine Empire. The Battle of Nahawand marked the collapse of the Sasanian Empire. The weakness of the Byzantine and Sasanian empires, both exhausted from decades of war. The appeal of Islam's message of equality and justice, which resonated with many under oppressive rule. Policies of tolerance toward non-Muslims, who were allowed to practice their faith and pay jizya, a tax. Reference: Hugh Kennedy, The Great Arab Conquests. Number 2 The Umayyad Caliphate and the expansion into Spain, 661-750 C. Under the Umayyads, the Muslim Empire became more centralized and focused on territorial expansion. Led by generals like Akbar ibn Nafi, Islam spread across the Maghreb. The establishment of Kairouan, modern-day Tunisia, as a key center of learning and governance. Led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, Muslim forces crossed the Strait of Gibraltar. The victory at the Battle of Guadalete led to the establishment of Al-Andalus, a thriving Islamic state in Spain. Spain became a beacon of Islamic culture, art, and science, influencing Europe for centuries. Reference: Richard Fletcher, Moorish Spain. Number 3 The spread of Islam in Central Asia and India. Muslim armies reached Central Asia by the mid-8th century, establishing control over key cities like Bukhara and Samarkand. These cities became centers for Islamic scholarship and trade along the Silk Road. While early Muslim incursions into the Indian subcontinent began under the Umayyads. Significant spread occurred later through trade and the arrival of missionaries, Sufis. Trade routes facilitated the exchange of ideas and culture. The inclusive nature of Islam attracted converts from various backgrounds. Reference: Peter Golden, Central Asia in World History, Number 4. Trade and cultural exchange. Muslim traders played a significant role in spreading Islam to Southeast Asia and East Africa. In Southeast Asia, Islam took root in regions like Indonesia and Malaysia, blending with local traditions. In East Africa, Swahili cities like Zanzibar and Mombasa became hubs of Islamic culture. Sufi missionaries emphasized spirituality and personal connection with God. Their inclusive and peaceful approach made Islam appealing to diverse communities. Reference: Era Lapidus, A History of Islamic Societies. Number 5. The social and political appeal of Islam. Non-Muslims were granted freedom of worship and protection under Islamic rule. This contrasted with the often harsh policies of previous empires. The concept of the Ummah, community of believers, promoted unity and equality, breaking down tribal and racial divisions. The establishment of trade networks and stable governance provided economic benefits to those under Islamic rule. Reference: Marshall Hodgson, The Venture of Islam. Number 6. The legacy of the early spread of Islam. By the 8th century, Islam had become a dominant force across 3 continents: Asia, Africa, and Europe. The spread of Islam wasn't just a military or political phenomenon. It also brought cultural, scientific, and economic advancements to the regions it reached. The rapid spread of Islam during the 7th and 8th centuries is a testament to its transformative message and the vision of its early leaders. This period not only expanded the faith's geographic reach, but also laid the foundation for a flourishing Islamic civilization that would influence the world for centuries. Stay tuned as we explore the Golden Age of Islam in our next segment. Factors contributing to the spread of Islam. The rapid spread of Islam during its early years wasn't a mere coincidence. It was fueled by a combination of social, political, cultural, and spiritual factors that resonated across diverse regions. From its core message to the strategic brilliance of its early leaders, let's unpack the key reasons behind this unparalleled expansion. Number 1. The universal appeal of Islam's message. Islam's emphasis on the equality of all believers, regardless of race or social status, appealed to oppressed populations. The concept of the Ummah, community of believers, provided a sense of belonging that transcended tribal and ethnic divides. Islam's core tenets, summarized in the 5 pillars, were simple and accessible to understand. This clarity made Islam relatable and easy to adopt for people of varying backgrounds. The ethical principles of honesty, charity, zakat, and kindness made Islam a practical and attractive way of life. Reference: Karen Armstrong, Islam, A Short History. Number 2. Effective leadership and governance. Prophet Muhammad's leadership inspired trust and loyalty among his followers, who carried forward his vision with dedication. The Rashidun caliphs continued this legacy with strong governance and strategic decision-making. The Islamic State implemented efficient tax systems and fair judicial practices, ensuring stability in conquered regions. The system of jizya, tax for non-Muslims, allowed religious minorities to maintain their faith while contributing to the state. Reference: Era Lapidus, A History of Islamic Societies. Number 3. Military strategy and tactics. Early Muslim armies were well-trained, highly motivated, and guided by a shared sense of purpose. Decisive battles, such as Yarmouk 636 C and Qadisiyah 636 C, showcased the strategic brilliance of Muslim generals. The use of diplomacy and alliances allowed Muslims to gain the support of local populations. Muslim forces adapted to the diverse terrains and climates of the regions they entered, from deserts to mountains. Reference: Hugh Kennedy, The Armies of the Caliphs, Number 4. The role of trade and commerce. Muslim merchants traveled across the Arabian Peninsula, East Africa, Central Asia, and Southeast Asia, spreading Islam along trade routes. Key centers like Mecca and Medina were already bustling trade hubs, helping Islam gain an early foothold. Trade brought not just goods, but also ideas, enabling Islam's integration into local customs and practices. The ethical practices of Muslim merchants, honesty, fairness, and trustworthiness, enhanced the appeal of Islam to trading partners. Reference: Philip Curtin, Cross-Cultural Trade in World History, Number 5. Religious tolerance and inclusivity. Conquered regions retained much of their religious and cultural autonomy under Islamic rule. The Quran and Prophet Muhammad emphasized the protection of people of the book, Jews and Christians, fostering coexistence. Islamic scholars worked with non-Muslim thinkers, particularly in regions like Spain, contributing to a shared intellectual tradition. Reference: Bernard Lewis, The Arabs in History, Number 6. The role of Sufi missionaries. Sufis emphasized a personal and emotional connection with God, making Islam accessible and relatable. Their practices of peace, humility, and charity resonated deeply with local populations. Sufi missionaries adapted Islam to fit the cultural contexts of the regions they entered, particularly in South Asia and Southeast Asia. Reference: Anna-Marie Schimmel, Mystical Dimensions of Islam, Number 7. Decline of rival powers. Decades of warfare between the Byzantines and Sasanians left both empires weakened, creating a power vacuum that Muslims capitalized on. Oppressive taxation and religious persecution under previous rulers made Islam's policies of tolerance and fairness more attractive. Reference: Peter Brown, The World of Late Antiquity, Number 8. The appeal of Islamic civilization. Cities like Baghdad, Damascus, and Cordoba became centers of art, science, and education, showcasing the richness of Islamic civilization. Regions under Islamic rule flourished due to stability, trade, and a unified currency system. Prosperity encouraged conversion, as being Muslim often brought social and economic advantages. Reference: Marshall Hodgson, The Venture of Islam, Legacy and Modern Influence of Islam. The story of Islam isn't just confined to history books. Its legacy lives on in the modern world, influencing culture, science, governance, and spirituality. From its contributions during the Islamic Golden Age to its enduring values that shape societies today, let's explore the profound legacy and modern influence of Islam. Number 1. Cultural and scientific contributions of the Islamic Golden Age. During the Islamic Golden Age, 8th–14th centuries, cities like Baghdad, Cordoba, and Damascus became hubs of learning. Institutions like the House of Wisdom, Beit al-Hikmah, in Baghdad fostered scholarship. Mathematics: Al-Khwarizmi developed algebra, and his works introduced Arabic numerals to Europe. Medicine: Avicenna's Canon of Medicine was a standard medical text for centuries. Astronomy: Islamic scholars built advanced observatories and refined the astrolabe, aiding navigation. Philosophy: thinkers like Averroes and Al-Farabi integrated Greek philosophy with Islamic teachings. Translations of Islamic works into Latin influenced the European Renaissance, laying the foundation for modern science and philosophy. Reference: George Saliba, Islamic Science and the Making of the European Renaissance. Number 2. Legal and ethical systems. Sharia provided a comprehensive legal framework governing personal, social, and economic matters. It emphasized justice, fairness, and the welfare of society. Islamic legal principles, such as contracts and inheritance laws, have parallels in contemporary legal systems. Islam's emphasis on human dignity, charity, zakat, and the rights of the poor has inspired modern social welfare systems. Reference: Wael Halak, The Origins and Evolution of Islamic Law. Number 3. Architectural legacy. The architectural marvels of the Islamic world, like the Alhambra in Spain, the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, and the Great Mosque of Cordoba, showcase intricate designs and engineering excellence. The use of geometric patterns, calligraphy, and symmetry became hallmarks of Islamic art. Islamic architectural styles have influenced structures worldwide, from Mughal India's Taj Mahal to modern mosques in the West. Reference: John Bloom, Arts of the Islamic World. Number 4. Islam's role in global trade and economy. Islamic empires facilitated trade along the Silk Road, Indian Ocean, and Mediterranean. The spread of goods like spices, textiles, and scientific knowledge interconnected the world. Islamic banking, based on principles like interest-free transactions and ethical investing, has gained global prominence. Reference: Timur Kuran, Islam and Economic Performance. Number 5. Spiritual and ethical influence. With over 1.9 billion followers, Islam is the second largest religion in the world, influencing diverse cultures and societies. Islam's emphasis on common values, such as compassion and justice, has facilitated conversations between faiths, promoting mutual understanding. Millions worldwide find guidance and purpose in Islam's spiritual and ethical teachings, fostering communities of peace and goodwill. Reference: Karen Armstrong, The Great Transformation. Number 6. Political and social movements. Islamic principles inspired governance models emphasizing justice, consultation, shura, and accountability. Islamic values have influenced modern political ideologies, ranging from social justice movements to environmental ethics. Grassroots initiatives, inspired by Islamic teachings, work toward poverty alleviation and education in underserved regions. Reference: Olivia Roy, Globalized Islam. Number 7. Challenges and opportunities in the modern world. Misinterpretations of Islam have sometimes led to stereotypes and misconceptions. Global conflicts and political dynamics have created tensions around the Muslim identity. Muslim communities continue to contribute to science, art, and global dialogue. The rise of technology has enabled the spread of Islamic teachings and culture, fostering a better understanding of its core values. Reference: John L. Esposito, What Everyone Needs to Know About Islam. Number 8. The enduring legacy of Islam. Islam's ability to unite people across cultures, languages, and continents remains a testament to its universal appeal. From fostering intellectual growth to championing ethical governance, Islam's contributions have shaped the course of human history. Islam's adaptability and relevance continue to inspire billions, ensuring its place as a guiding force for the future. Reference: Sayyid Hossein Nasser, Islam in the Modern World.